yogis, welcome back. Thank you for continuing to join me on your mats. My name is Felicia, if we have not met yet, and this is your third video in this Yin series I'm doing to really break down the principles in Yin so we can find it on our mats and off our mats. So if you're just joining, first video was about breath work, deep belly breath. Second video was our first principle, our first true principle of Yin, which is finding our edge. Today's video is going to be your second step, which we kind of pulled the breath work out of, and that's to be still in the pose, to find some stillness. So in Yin, we hold the poses for a little bit longer. I kind of discussed this in the previous video, to get past our muscle and into our skeletal system. So it's really the yin to our yang practice. And it's difficult for a lot of people because you have to be still in the pose. We come into the uncomfortable, which is finding our edge. We're gonna practice with the breath work and the edge and being still in a pose for a little bit. So we'll practice on the asana part first, and then I'll kind of relate it to how it relates to the state that we're in now. So let's practice again with that half butterfly. So taking your right leg straight out in front of you, a little bit off to the right. Your left foot comes into that right thigh. You can readjust the sit bones as needed. And since we are going to be holding this for a little bit longer, getting comfy, getting set up properly. So if you know you have low back pain, these forward folds, they're beneficial for the low back, but if you already have low back pain or slip discs, anything going on there, I recommend you take a blanket, fold it up, and have a seat on your blanket. That's just gonna help elevate your hips and find a little bit of a tilt so that when you find that forward fold, it's a little easier, it's a little less stress on the back. So find a blanket if you need that. Another thing, if there's any issues with that right knee, you can always practice this on the left side too, we'll even it out. But if there's any issues on the right knee, if you've hyperextended that back of the knee or you've recently had knee surgery, I'm gonna recommend you grab a second blanket, put the blanket under your knee, just helps elevate that knee and prevents any further stretching or tearing if there's any injuries there. Otherwise, we'll set up how we are. We'll start to tune into the breath. So we'll take 3 deep breaths here to just start to tune in, and this will count as your goal because we're continuing adding on these goals. So this counts as your 3 deep breaths for the day, for the hour, whatever you have set. So on your inhale, take a deep breath in through the nose, feel the belly rise. Exhale out the mouth, feel it all release. Another deep breath in, belly rises, then the air goes into the chest. Exhale out the mouth, release. One more deep breath in. Exhale it out. Keeping those deep belly breaths. On your inhale, bring the hands to either side of the right leg. Lengthen, feeling the breath press into the belly, rise up through the chest, and on your exhale, start to walk the fingertips towards the ankle, hinging over that right leg. So we're hinging from the hips, again, finding your edge. So this is right when you start to feel the sensations in the back of the right leg. Then you can let the arms relax, the spine can round, and the head and the neck can be heavy. Now, we practice the breath. Keep those deep, even breaths. Feeling the belly rise. It will feel different this time because we're folding forward. So practicing the breath with that forward fold. Settling into your edge. So again, kicking the ego out. You don't need the ego. Tapping in. The breath will help press the ego away. And your edge is that Goldilocks spot, right where you're starting to feel the stretch. We're not going too deep into it, and we're not giving ourselves too big of a break either. That happy medium. Now we're settling into our be still. So I'll explain this and then I'll be quiet so you can figure it out. So in yin, this be still is starting to notice the breath that we pulled out as an additional step. So you're noticing the breath here. You're noticing the sensations in the body. And you're noticing any fidgeting, any alerts that are popping into your brain that are saying, bored, I don't like this, get out, I don't want to be here, all of that stuff. We're settling into that stage. We're being still. We're being okay with everything going on. There's no judgment going on. You know, if thoughts pop into the mind that say, oh, this is really boring, I don't want to be here, or oh my gosh, I feel like I'm super tight, I should be folding forward more. Accepting those thoughts and just letting them flow through the mind. We don't have to attach to anything, we're just being still. Taking another breath in and a breath out. And on your next inhale, starting to walk the fingertips back up towards the hips. Extend your left leg out in front of you. You can bop the legs up and down. We're going to go into the other side, practicing everything I taught you. This time I'm going to be quiet so you can really settle into the be still phase and physically feel it in your body. So taking your left leg out in front of you, a bit off to the left. Right foot comes into that left thigh. Readjust the sit bones as needed. This time just taking one deep breath in through the belly. And on your exhale, hinge over that left leg to your edge. Finding your edge on this side. Taking as much time as you need to set up that edge to figure it out. Continuing with those deep belly breaths. And settling into your second principle, resolving to be still, to be present. Giving yourself 3 more breaths. On your next inhale, slowly pressing into the palms, walking them up towards the hips. Can unravel that right foot, bring both legs out in front of you, gently bop them up and down. So that is our be still, our second principle of yin. That's feeling it physically in the body. As it relates to taking that off the mat, we're in a state right now where we're confined, self-quarantine, and there's lots of times to be still. So being still is great to follow up with finding your edge. We talked about finding your edge off your mat, noticing if your anxiety is kicking up, noticing if you've gone past your edge. So being uncomfortable is good. We'll find growth in the uncomfortable, I promise. Going past the uncomfortable where you're in pain is not good. So noticing that physically in your body with these asanas and your practices, but also noticing it mentally, emotionally, just in your life in general. And then the be still is settling into that and noticing what caused it. We can start to pinpoint what causes our anxiety to rise, what causes us to feel bored, what causes us to really tap into our creativity, what causes us to feel happy, all those things. we can start to tap into that being still and noticing, just being still and noticing. So that is your goal for this week, in addition to focusing on your breath, finding your edge, starting to practice being still, being kind, being gentle with yourself. No judgment, no criticism, just noticing what comes up and letting it pass. You can again write this down in a journal, you can just notice it, but I really encourage you this week to practice on being present, being still, being kind to yourself and others, of course, but really starting to practice on your stillness. Thanks, guys.